Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best compositions for every single set in the Championship Challenge, which is coming out tomorrow. Not only will you qualify for the monthly qualifiers if you get 15 wins, but you'll also get some good rewards for some progression as well. And just quickly, over 70% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, so make sure you subscribe or else you're definitely going to get bad randoms in this challenge. So jumping into the first set, we have KABOOM Canyon Heist. As you can see on the screen, you have the best compositions to choose from. So as always, I've added this new category with solo carry. So if you're solo queuing, which I actually do sometimes as well on my mini accounts, these are the best carry brawlers for you. So the best composition is Tara, Brock and Lola. So a little bit weirder than usual. Main reason why I have this composition is because you want a lot of DPS when you're playing heist, specifically on the earlier rounds. So you could go with a lot of other options as well, like more control options like Eve and Crow, but for me, I just like to get the games over and done with as quickly as possible. And Tara actually is a really good option on KABOOM Canyon right now. Of course, she can shut down so many brawlers, and her pets, especially if you get onto the safe, can deal so much damage. Brock, he's definitely the brawler that you want pretty much in every single composition, and then you can easily swap out a Lola, whether it's like a Jessie is actually pretty good on this map now, the likes of Colette, Bonnie, you know, all of these brawlers are really good. But KABOOM Canyon set 1 is such an easy set. All you need to do is worry about the Jessies kind of running in on your safe. Okay, so now we're going to be jumping onto set number 2, which is a Bells Rock Knockout. So these are the best compositions which you can use. So I quickly saw on the graphic as well, I didn't put Gus for some reason, but Gus is pretty much the best brawler on Knockout. So he's a really safe option to have as well. But I think this composition is pretty bulletproof. So of course, you have the Tick. So Tick is just solid against everything. He's the best thrower, specifically in Knockout. He's going to be able to funnel the opponents all the way back to spawn. Like with Tick, you're not going to be able to win your lane pretty much all the time, but it's all about keeping the opponents low, making sure they're not pushing towards that midpoint, and then you can gain a lot of control through that. And of course, saving your super for the right opportunity, or even saving it until the gas closes in. And then you have Brock, who's just a really solid option. You've also got the fact that you can use his rocket laces either to counter aggro or rocket fuel to destroy that left hand kind of L shape on the left hand side. That's going to be really good for you to not get spawn trapped. And then Gray is just a fantastic option because you've got that walking cane gadget which can create so much pressure, and especially against throwers, he just counters throwers so well. So you've got a bit of everything in that composition, but still a lot of other good brawlers, right? Jean, pretty bulletproof when it comes down to just the kind of blind picks that you go through in this, right? You've also got Shelly and Cordelius, which I think are really strong, but obviously you've got to be a little bit careful because they do lack the range on this map. And then some other safe options as well. I really like the RT and the Squeak on this map, but pretty simple for a set 2. So now jumping onto set number 3, we have Crystal Arcade Gem Grab. So this is where it typically gets a little bit harder in terms of facing people that actually have set compositions. So you can see by the screen that now I think pretty much all of the time you want to use Shelly, Cordelius, and then it doesn't really matter really what other mid you use. Definitely just use those 2 lanes because they're going to be the best chance on winning for sure. So in terms of mids, you can go with either the Gus, Bee, Crow, or the Jean. Again, kind of up to you. More typically than not, I'd just go Gus if you're a really good Gus and you can tap pretty well. But maybe like the Crow and the Bee is a bit safer just because if you're facing off against any tanks, you know, they can do their job for sure. But still, you got Shelly in your composition and Cordelius who just shred through tanks. So you probably don't need a third tank counter in there. In terms of solo carry options, I did go for the Cordelius and Shelly. Again, of course, the best super brawlers in the game. And then Tara and Cole have that pop-off potential for sure. I really like the Tara down the lane specifically because it counters Shelly and Cordelius. So if you want to counter the meta right now, go Tara is really fantastic option down the lane. Other options as well, you know, Squeak can be pretty good, but a little bit dangerous in a blind format. But overall, you can't go wrong with Cordelius and Shelly. Okay, so now jumping into set number 4, we have a Dueling BEETLE'S Hot Zone. So as you can see on the screen, these are the best compositions to choose from, and also just the best picks overall. So I went with, again, Shelly, Crow, and Cordelius. You know, Shelly is pretty strong right now. I'd honestly say that Hot Zone is one of her worst game modes, so you could easily swap out a Shelly if you're not comfortable with her on that game mode, and you can just go with like a Squeak or a Stu or even a Belle I see quite often and really works on this map. But it's pretty plain and simple with Dueling BEETLE'S. It's all about the first engagement, and for me, the most critical thing I've got to stress is try not to die all 3 members at the same time. I know that just sounds like a really easy tip, But for me, once that happens on a map like this, you just end up getting spawn trapped more often than not. So making sure that you're making calculated risks a lot of the time. But anyways, in terms of the brawlers then, you've got, it's kind of same old when it comes down to dueling beetles. You've got the likes of Stu, who can be really good with speed zone. You know, Poco can just be a really good brain dead brawler. Of course, you've got to be careful if you're facing off like against a Lou or other brawlers that Poco might feed. You know, Squeak's going to be really good in terms of the residue gadget. He can get so much pressure, and the fact that he's actually good against aggro picks kind of now as well. You know, he's a pretty solid brawler that you can just replace, you know, like the Shelly or the Crow with. You know, Pam's making a big jump up in the meta. Probably a bit more of a higher skill cap brawler, I would say, on this map. But if you're a good Pam, you should be able to absolutely dominate, especially with the Pam turret behind that unbreakable wall. And then once you get a little bit of control, you can put the Pam turret a lot more aggressively. And that's why I like turret brawlers here, you know, like Mr. P, Jesse, because once you get it behind the unbreakable wall, it's really hard for the opponents to really get out of it. But dueling beetles, pretty plain and simple. You guys should have played this enough now. Okay, so now jumping onto set number 5, we have Pinhole Pun Brawl Balls. So it's pretty nice having Brawl Ball as set number 5, because I feel like if you have the skill, you should be able to easily walk through the opponents on this game mode in particular. But as you can see, again, by the best composition, we have Crow in the mid, and then Shelly and Cordelia. So you could easily again replace the Crow with like Squeak, for example. But I think Crow is just a lot safer just because you've got the scouting capabilities with his main attack. And then, of course, you can just help pinch a lot easier with a brawler like Crow. Whilst Shelly and Cordelia are just going to apply so much pressure, it's ridiculous. These brawlers are just so strong. But again, if you don't have Cordelia's unlocked, you know, you can easily go with another high pressure brawler like Carl or a Tara or something along those lines that's going to get a lot of control, and aggro is going to be pretty good to be honest. But Pinhole Pun, for me, always try and use a vision gear on at least a couple of brawlers, if not your mid, so you can get that control in the mid bush. But other than that, it's pretty simple for me. You know, Shelly's just a no-brainer. Again, you've got to use Shelly everywhere. She's just so incredibly strong. Again, if you don't want to use Crow in the middle, you can easily go with like a B or a Poco, because it's just so easy to get control with those brawlers. But for me, it's all about kind of pinching, making sure that no one's kind of sneaking up in the grass, making sure you've got all areas covered in that department as well, and making some good opportunities in terms of goal scoring. So yeah, you should be able to win this one pretty easily. That's going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know how you do in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.